Please don't use language or do any actions that disrupt the meeting. If you do break our rule, to stop and be clear. Don't think that will happen tonight. So we've got the timer up here today, and we're doing 2 minutes per person. It does not make a beep at the end. We're trying that out, okay? We're not sure. It's really loud for council purposes, but so if you hear the beep, that would be the end of your time. And yellow to let you know you have 30 seconds to wrap up, please. And so I'm going to call for your vote. You come up, let us know if you live in Bend or if you represent an organization, and then give us your. And I'll start with you, Garth. Then come on up.
Good evening, members of Bend City Council, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Garth Finley, and I represent the hardworking members of the Western States Carpenters Union. I also fight for the unrepresented carpenters in our community that are trapped in a cycle of wage theft and abuse. I'm here to address the very topic and echo the proclamation that was read earlier: human trafficking in the construction industry. Construction work is the backbone of our growing community, but beneath the surface of this vital industry lies an alarming reality. Unscrupulous labor brokers and contractors exploit vulnerable individuals, and many of them are trafficked and forced to work in unsafe conditions for little or no pay. These practices are not just a violation of human rights, they undercut legitimate contractors and workers who are striving to earn an honest living within our city. In the recent years, we've seen cases nationwide where trafficked individuals are forced to work long hours, denied proper wages, and threatened with violence or deportation. This problem is not just happening elsewhere, it's a silent issue and is affecting our city and as demand for construction grows. So what can we do? First, we need stronger enforcement of labor laws. We urge the council to work with state and federal agencies to ensure the contractors operating in Bend adhere ethical hiring practices. Second, we need transparency in construction bidding and permitting process to ensure that projects go to reputable firms. Finally, I ask the council to consider funding public awareness campaigns and training for city inspectors to recognize signs of human labor trafficking on work sites. Every worker deserves the dignity of fair treatment. Just 30 more seconds. Treatment of safe environment. Addressing issues is not just a matter of justice. It's about ensuring that Bend remains a community where ethics and businesses thrive and human rights are protected. So thank you, and we will make a difference in this. Appreciate you all. Thanks for getting me started.
Morning, let's turn on.
It sounds like a call in a dentist office.
Very degrading.
Thank you for being here. All right, let's have Keegan Chisholm, Mola.
Not yet. Next week.
Start.
Go ahead.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of City Council. My name is Keegan Chisholm, and I'm currently an IB student at Bend Senior High School. The goal of my speaking is to bring up the idea of a legal graffiti space in Bend, or a wall or tunnel where people in the city can freely paint and express themselves. This concept has already been implemented in Redmond by their Commission for Art in Public Places, and upon conducting interviews with the current and former chairholders for that organization, I've learned that it has noticeably reduced the amount of illegal vandalism in the city. As a student, artist, and citizen of Bend, I believe that the city could absolutely benefit from a space like this. There are many murals around town, and this public graffiti wall could serve as something similar, but created by and for the citizens of Bend. In my research, I've learned a lot about managing a space like this and the work required by the city, so if you have any follow-up questions, you can contact me. I've already emailed the City Council and have been in contact with Councilor Platt, who I've provided a slideshow with which I'm willing to present to other council members who are interested. Thank you for your time.
Keegan?
Thank you.
All right, Jim Elliott.
Trying to make a point here.
Not going to miss you.
Thank you, Mayor Gilbert and the council members, for providing me this opportunity to address the traffic safety in Bend. My name is Jim Elliott, and I live in Bend. Tonight, I'm here on behalf of the elementary students at Bear Creek Elementary School. I am a crossing guard at Bear Creek Elementary 3 mornings a week. This is my usual outfit and the stop sign that I use to stop cars so children can safely navigate the roundabout at Bear Creek and 15th Street. I would like to report that the drivers follow the blinking school warning lights that mandate 20 miles an hour, and that they stop for me and the students who are walking and biking to school. But that would not be true. Every day, drivers speed through the school zone despite the blinking lights. Despite my bright coat and my stop sign, and the fact that I'm bigger than a water buffalo, according to my daughter, drivers do not always stop at the crosswalks. Of course, when you have one hand on the steering wheel and the other on your cell phone, you may be distracted. I'm always glad for snow and ice during my duty time in the crosswalk. It is the only time that drivers slow, follow the speed limit, and do not accelerate through the roundabout. So I'm asking for a change in the school zone at Bear Creek, and actually all schools here in Bend. Return to the full-time school zones from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., as it is in other schools in the city. Install raised crosswalks at the roundabout, so drivers must slow down. Tighten the radius of the roundabouts to slow the drivers. These are commonly used engineering concepts that are employed in many cities in Oregon and elsewhere in this country. I'm often thanked by the students and the parents and the school staff for providing safe crossings, but I do not want thanks. What I want is that the people in power in the city and in the school district take charge of our streets. They need to direct the redesign of our streets so that our children can safely and independently travel to and from school and to parks and to their friends' houses. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I did see that Bear Creek just got money from ODOT for Safe Routes to School to do some work at Bear Creek.
But
They did.
can I respond?
No.
They're going to use that money. Well, the school district is going to expand 2 parking lots at Bear Creek, almost half the playground. And what they're going to use that money for, in my understanding, is to replace the trail they're taking out to build a new trail when they double the size of the parking lot of the Bear Creek. So I'm not quite sure that makes us.
Your point still stands.
Yep.
Jim Christos, come on.
Madam Mayor and City Councilors, congratulations on those elected or re-elected. I hope you all had a chance to read my written submission. I'll be much briefer due to the time limitations. My name is Jim Christo, and I'm here representing myself, not my neighborhood district, although it can be a Bend citizen issue. A few months ago, I got into a minor fender bender track accident. No injuries, very little damage to the car. I encountered some black ice on Revere. As I turned onto it, nothing was unusual, but as I proceeded on the hill, I saw a car stopped in the middle of the road, and the lights were on, no hazard flashers, and I hit black ice and couldn't stop, and I hit her. All these, what I talked about, is state law violations. You can't stop in the middle of the road, and you have to use hazard flashers to warn drivers. Had they done that, maybe no accident. Police weren't called because of the lack of seriousness, and that may have been a mistake. The insurance company says I'm at fault because I rear-ended somebody. Nothing mattered except the fact that I rear-ended them. Not the violations of state law by the other driver, not the road conditions, nothing else mattered. But I had a dash camera installed in my car a few weeks before, and I called the police afterward and asked them to review the dash cam footage and give me an expert opinion on who was at fault. They refused, and that's why I'm here. And I've been in a long-running battle with my insurance company. They've raised my rates quite a bit, and over the next 10 years, it will cost me $14,000 because I lost the good driver discount. Now, I believe that having the police to be able to use their expertise in reviewing dash cam footage may have helped my situation. It may help other people in the same situation as I am. But by not doing it, they lost a wonderful opportunity to educate a driver. And I believe, Counselor, that's what they should be doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim.
Please, team.
David Green.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilors. My name's David Green. I'm a resident of Bend in the River West Neighborhood District. I want to thank you for the really great project on Franklin that's coming up. It's going to really improve safety on this corridor for people driving, for people biking, and for people walking. It's going to have better crossings across Franklin. It's going to remove a westbound lane that people use to speed to get ahead of the other people when they approach the underpass. It's going to provide raised bike lanes along Franklin, and it's going to be really wonderful. A couple of weeks ago, I was biking along an arterial, and I came within inches of being hit by a car that was turning off the arterial onto the side street. Scared me to death. Unfortunately, the new design on Franklin won't prevent that kind of very common conflict. Keeping the bike lanes and sidewalks raised across those side streets along the arterial, which is supposed to be the priority street for traffic, would really help that situation. The people walking and biking across those side streets would be very much more visible, and cars would slow as they enter those adjacent neighborhoods, especially in the new neighborhood along 2nd Street that's supposed to be a walking and bikeable neighborhood. I'd ask you to really take advantage of this investment we're putting in along Franklin and finish the job. We're spending quite a lot of money. We're not quite there. It's really close. putting in those raised crossings along those side streets would really improve and finish off that project. If that can't be done on Franklin, I'd really like you to make this a standard for bike lanes and sidewalks in the future along all of our collectors and arterials as those streets are rebuilt. So thanks for your time and thanks for that project.
James Teeter.
Hi, I'm James Teeter, a Bend resident. I'm also here to talk about the raised crossings over local streets. I do want to clarify, I'm not talking about raised crossings across streets. I'm not talking about Franklin and 6th, where the high school students cross. I do think that should be raised, but what I'm talking about is what David's talking about, that sidewalks along arterials, collectors, and bike lanes should be continuous. And I do want to talk about Trenton Berger. Trenton Berger was killed last year biking on a sidewalk, and he wasn't killed because he wasn't wearing a helmet. He was killed because he was run over by a car. And the design of that intersection was heavily influencing the way that driver behaved, that they approached the intersection quickly, looked left to see oncoming traffic, and if there was no traffic, they would jut out. They were not looking for Trenton biking down the sidewalk, and that's a very unfortunate issue, and I'm not saying it's her fault, but it is a design issue that I believe the raised crossings could have prevented Trenton's death, and I honestly believe that. I do commend you for the work you're doing on Franklin and for the Bend Bikeways. I see it as a massive investment, a good one, but creating spaces where kids can bike along the street is great. But if every intersection is dangerous, every 200 feet, 300 feet, there's a dangerous intersection, that's not a place where parents are going to say, yeah, just bike to school. It's cool, it's a nice bike lane, but if the intersections don't match it, it's a lost investment. I would ask you to engage with the designers on Franklin. I know that if you guys don't speak up about this with Franklin, it's not going to happen. And that project is probably over $10 million. Would be a lost investment. So thanks for your time.
Thanks, James.
Thanks, James.
Debbie Frieden.
Good evening, City Council. I'm also here to talk about raised bicycle crossings. My name is Doug Dryden. I am a citizen and commuter here in Bend and also an e-bike father. My commute takes me from Bend's old district all the way over to this hospital medical district over near St. Charles, and I use the Franklin corridor whenever I'm making that commute. And I am really excited about the changes coming to the Franklin corridor and think that it will significantly improve the safety there. I would like to acknowledge the previous speakers, and I have the same concerns that drivers turning right and drivers coming out frequently, cars cross into crosswalks and hang out there while they're waiting for a chance to enter the roadway. That blocks that crossing and forces bikes and pedestrians to go around it. This type of separated bikeway is a little bit new in the design language of Bend, and cars reasonably, to some degree, but not necessarily need to be looking out for traffic that's crossing on all those intersections. Raised crossings have a lot of benefits. They provide a speed hump and decrease speeds. They indicate priority of the pedestrians and cyclists that are going through that intersection. And there's a lot decreased cars blocking that pathway. I've used these types of crossings in Portland, Orlando, New York City, other places. And I can't tell you how much of a difference it makes as a cyclist in the comfort of navigating a dangerous intersection. Thank you so much for your time. And I would also like to ask you guys to indicate to the planners that we should at least consider using these types of crossings. Thanks.
Thank you. That will conclude our visitor section. Thanks everyone for coming in tonight and giving us your input. Really appreciate that.